I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jackson Burleson, and welcome to yet another episode of The Take. And we're going to go ahead and jump straight into it, man, because we got a lot to go over in this podcast. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, comment your thoughts on some of the things we're going to go over. But first, we're going to discuss a couple of sports news things that are worth talking about. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is the UFL. Now, the United Football League, they're not really, most football fans don't care about this league. But I think this is actually worth noting because they're going to be introducing some pretty bold rule changes for the 2026 season. And this kind of ties into the NFL. You know, are they going to ban the tush push or not this offseason? We'll see if that happens. But they're actually banning the tush push. And then they're making field goals from 60-plus yards, 4 points. No punting past the opponent's 50-yard line. So that's interesting. Would any of you guys want to see some of those rules in the NFL? I think the 60-plus yard thing with the 4 points is very fascinating. I think that would be interesting. The tush push being banned, I'm not really sure if I really think the play should be banned because not every team has the personnel to do that play as good as like the Eagles, for example. And then the last one, no punting past the opponent's 50-yard line. I mean, if you want to force teams to go for it on fourth down, which is the whole thing behind this, go for it. It makes the game more entertaining. It takes a lot of that other strategy out. With the field goal, I personally hate it when teams try to chase points early in the game. But that's just me. Those are some interesting rule changes, though. I wonder if those will surface because I think those are going to be tried to see how it goes. And then, okay, maybe they worked in the UFL. Let's see if it can work in the NFL. They did the same thing with the kickoff. They tried it in the UFL, and then they put it in the NFL. Very interesting to see how that kind of will unfold. And then the other news segment that we'll talk about just real quick, Floyd Mayweather, 49 years of age, comes out of retirement, and then he announces he's fighting Manny Pacquiao, which, if you guys don't know, Manny Pacquiao actually unretired just recently. He came back and fought Mario Barrios for the WBC title. He lost. He went 12 rounds. He lost in decision. But this is an interesting fight. It's in Vegas at the Sphere, September 19th. That's when it's supposed to happen. Now, I don't know if the result is going to be any different because these guys fought in 2015. Pacquiao was out of his prime. Floyd was getting there. You could argue maybe he was out of his prime. Maybe he was at the end of it. But still, I don't think this result is really going to matter. I had somebody text me going, hey, if anybody thinks I'm watching this, you're crazy. And I'm like, I get it, but you're still going to watch it. It's Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. But, you know, it's two old guys. I mean, that's kind of where we're at with boxing right now. It's like you're good with seeing old guys fight. That's how, like, starving of a thing prize fighting is in boxing right now because you got to go pull guys out of retirement. And Floyd Mayweather, there's no reason why he should be putting that 50-0 record on the line. Why? Why would you waste your legacy for this kind of fight that really has no implications? Because for Floyd Mayweather, if he wins this fight, there's no way he is even going to be thinking about. If he's smart, he can't fight Terrence Crawford. He's going to put his lights out. And then Gervonta Davis is going to put his lights out. Those two fights are very dangerous for Floyd, especially in this stage in his career. His reflexes aren't really there. He's old. He's almost 50. I mean, he's fighting Mike Tyson in exhibition in April before this fight. And then he's going to fight Pacquiao. And I think Mayweather may need some money. He's in a lawsuit right now with HBO, so maybe that could factor into why he's coming back. Because there's no reason you being out of the game basically a decade and then all of a sudden wanting to come back. Because if you thought you could actually be a legitimate championship fighter, you wouldn't have retired when you did, in my personal opinion. That's just kind of put the bow on that real quick. But then Man, what a great Sunday for USA hockey, man. I mean, what a great game. Everybody wanted this matchup. Canada versus the United States, the four nations, the three fights in 10 seconds. That was fantastic. We wanted the revenge because, Canada won in that championship round, beat us. That's been really stinging us for a little bit. And I'm so glad that this matchup finally happened because we've just been waiting for it to happen for so long, and the anticipation watching these Olympics was like, all right, no, cool, United States beat Finland or they beat Sweden or whoever they were playing. I didn't really care. I just was like, you know what? I want them to play Canada. That's the only thing that matters to me. And they did. And it was a physical game right out of the gate. I mean, hits were being made. Guys were flying all over the place. But I mean, we have to acknowledge how good Connor Helbachek was. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. How good he was in this game. I mean, 41 of 42 shots he saved for the United States. Saved. I mean, there was one save. The stick grazed the puck. It gets out of the goal area. I'm like, oh my goodness. That was a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It really was. It was it is going to go down as the greatest performance by a United States goalie ever. Ever. It has to, right? And Coach Mike Sullivan, he talked about, his performance after the game.
He was a hero tonight for our team, without a doubt. He made a lot of timely saves throughout the course of the game. I think Connor was part of the foundation of this group from the get-go, dating back to the Four Nations and throughout the course of this tournament. Just a high-stakes player in a high-stakes environment. I think that's when players build their legacy, and Connor certainly did that tonight.
And so, just some history. I mean, the day they won the gold medal Sunday was exactly 46 years since the Miracle on Ice. Man, that's some history-changing stuff there. I mean, it really is. Like, when you really think about how long it was, I mean, now that's the third gold medal for U.S. men's hockey. They joined the 1960 team and the 1980 team. I mean, this is just unprecedented how important this was for America to finally get hockey back on top. Because, I mean, this Canadian squad is good. Now, the thing about Canada, in my opinion, is that the United States should have lost this game. I don't think we played well enough, actually, to win. And we won. We just had a couple of things go our way. I mean, in the second period, Canada was 5-on-3 for about 2 minutes. Didn't score a single goal. We had a defender standing behind the goalie, got a save with his hand. I mean, there were plays like that. McDavid got a breakaway goal opportunity. Connor McDavid was not even able to put a shot on goal. I mean, how do you not put a shot on goal? I mean, this is a guy who, when you look at the greatest hockey players in the game right now, McDavid is always number one on that list, especially for me. But when he gets to the biggest moments and the stage is bright and it's calling for his name, he just can't deliver. I don't know what it is. The Stanley Cup or even the gold medal game. He had countless opportunities to just take over, and he didn't. And Canada should have won this game 3 or even 4-1. But there were just certain plays that they were not able to make. Brad Marchand had an open goal. He missed it. But that also goes back to how good Connor Helbachek played. He was that good in this game. I mean, you couldn't even... I don't think Wayne Gretzky would have been able to do this good against him. I don't think he would have hit a goal. I mean, maybe he would have hit one. But, like, you're telling me right now that you had a performance like that, and Canada had shot after shot after shot, and the United States still just kept playing the game. 5-on-3, 3 guys. They were executing a 5-on-3. You know how possible that is? That's impossible. But then it was like at the end of the third period, Sam Bennett gets that double minor. The stick hits Jack Hughes in the face. His teeth are out everywhere. I'm like scared for my life. I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, this is going to be it. Canada is going to win the game. They're going to score. But we somehow held the glue together, force overtime. And then Jack Hughes, the hero, hits the goal a minute and 41 into overtime and wins it for America. Just a great overall game. You can't, like, it's so hard not to be romantic about sports, especially with a game like this, with this kind of magnitude for these 2 different countries. And I mean, I think the one thing that Canada is going to be saying is like, oh, like, you know, why didn't we get certain players? Why didn't we get Connor Bedard? Or why we didn't do this? Or why we didn't do that? I'm like, it doesn't matter if you guys had the best team on paper. The United States got the win. And I think they were deserving. I mean, Austin Matthews, the team captain, gets a gold medal. Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk get a gold medal. Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes get a gold medal. You have 2 pairs of brothers on this team getting a gold medal. And then I believe you also have a 4th generation guy who his dad actually played for the 1980s gold medal team. And he gets a gold medal. I think just the history with this game was just absolutely amazing. I mean, it was. And I think going back to it, at the beginning, I think the United States set the tone. Matt Boldy in the first period basically had a 50-50 shot of hitting this goal. He just flings the puck forward, sees if he can actually catch him, and he's like, okay, like, I think I can actually get it. Sorry, I got an Amber Alert on my phone. That's why I had to turn it off for a second. But that was impressive. It set the tone for this entire game, and you could just tell right away Canada was trying to play catch-up. Now, granted, 1-0 in hockey or any sport in general may not seem a lot, but in hockey, that can feel like 10-0 in a basketball game sometimes. It can, because no goals are guaranteed, especially when you're playing a goalie like this, who is on another level. But so glad we got it. Donald Trump invited the men's hockey team to the White House. Now, he did invite the women's hockey team to the White House, but the women's Olympic hockey team said they were declining President Donald Trump's invitation to attend his State of the Union address a day after the president jokingly told the U.S. men's hockey team that he would be impeached if he didn't also invite the women's team. And then also the women's hockey, USA hockey spokesperson said, "We are sincerely grateful for the invitation extended to our gold medal winning USA women's hockey team and deeply appreciate the recognition of their extraordinary achievement. Due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the games, the athletes are unable to participate." Now, just real quick, I know this is kind of a, if you win for your country, why would you not want to go to the White House? I mean, I get it. Some people may not like Donald Trump, and that's fine. I'm not bashing anybody for who doesn't like him or who does like him. But I mean, if you're playing for America and the president invites you, I don't care who's in office, I feel like you have to go. Regardless of what obligations you may have, I feel like you should go and just at least have that experience, because get that pat on the back. Hey, thank you for doing this for our country. I mean, it's not like, the military or anything like that, but you're going out there and representing your country at the highest level of sport. And you turn it down. And I think this is a great week for USA hockey in general. I mean, we sweep. The men's and women's get gold. You don't see that often. And I think for the women's team not to participate in that, I think it was just a missed opportunity, in my opinion. It was a missed opportunity. But I'm not taking away for what they did, because they were great too. But it was a missed opportunity for the entire hockey program for USA to really take advantage of this moment and to put your pride aside for a second and just accept the fact that you did something great for the USA. I think that's all everyone needed to focus on there. It's no deeper than that, in my opinion. Now, you can have your opinions or whatever. Everyone has their own right to their opinion. But that's exactly how I feel about this. And it's different when you got NBA teams going, hey, I don't want to go. That's fine. You're not really representing your country anyways. I mean, I know it's been a big tradition in sports to do it. It's kind of died out the last couple of times, with Trump in office or whatever. But, that's okay. I think every person understands, some people don't want to do it. And that's okay. And that's all right. But if you're representing the country in the Olympics or something like that, and you get an invite, I feel like you should at least go just because you're representing the country. That's all I gotta say. And now let's go ahead and move on to, so before we get into this top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL going into 2026 list, man, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, comment your thoughts so far on the pod. I worked really hard on this list, and I spent a lot of time on this list. This was tough. This was a tough list to make. Top 10 quarterbacks going into the 2026 NFL season. Now, I think just criteria-wise, I want you guys to just kind of know what I was thinking with this list. So, obviously, playoff success is a big one. I also think the impact you have on your team. Without you, how bad is your team? And then also regular season success, I think, has to play into a little bit of a factor. And then just overall talent. I think that is my criteria for this list. A little bit of recency success as well played into this list. Going to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls, and also just being able to be a consistent quarterback. That's a lot of what I looked at in this list. Now, I'm going to start with number 10, and I know Patriots fans do not freak out. I have Drake May at number 10 to start off this list. Now, he was one vote shy of MVP. I get that. Regular season, he led the NFL in completion percentage at 72%. He led the NFL in QBR at 77.1. He was fourth in the NFL in passing yards. He was third in the NFL in touchdowns. But I think for me, it was just the playoff run he had. I mean, it wasn't that good. I mean, he had 8 turnovers. He took 21 sacks. Passing Joe Burrow for the most ever in a postseason. Kind of, sort of, not really his fault there. But, I mean, prior to the Super Bowl, he did not have one game completing at least 60% of his passes. And he also had one game where he threw under 100 yards. That was the AFC Championship game. You want to know how many games during the regular season that he threw under 200 yards? 2. All regular season game. All the regular season games. 15 out of his 17 games he threw for over 200 yards. That tells you everything. During the regular season, he was super consistent, very accurate, very efficient. But when it came playoff time and you're playing elite defenses, we saw him get exposed a little bit. We did. Now, sometimes, against the Chargers, he was just managing the game and doing what he needed to do. But I think he got exposed a little bit in the playoffs. I think he did. Now, granted, I don't think, and I also don't think Drake May was the reason the Patriots got to the Super Bowl. It was their defense. It was their run game. So that's why I have Drake May at 10. Had a great year. He deserves to be in the top 10 just because of what he did during the regular season. But I think if he had a better postseason, he would have been higher, in my opinion. And then number 9 is Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams, he really did check off a lot of boxes just as for Chicago Bears fans. He won the divisional title. He won a playoff game. And he did it. He did it with a first-year head coach in Ben Johnson. And I think he showed how insanely talented he is. The throws he was making this year were just nuts. Go back to one of the Packers games. Fit it through a corner's hands. I've never seen that before. Go into the Rams game when he was backpedaling, threw it up, Cole Kmet touchdown to go into overtime. I mean, there are certain throws that Caleb Williams makes that not a lot of quarterbacks can make. But there were also times where I was like, you have a wide open guy and you just miss him. You just miss him. It's weird. It's weird. I mean, his completion percentage was pretty low. I mean, it was 58%. It was at the bottom part of the league with every quarterback. So I think that is why he's not higher. Talent-wise, he's more talented than anybody. He's right there with any quarterback talent-wise. But when it comes to consistency and making the easy throws, he's not there yet. Now, granted, he is only in his second year. So seeing him do stuff like this is impressive. It's astounding. You look at him and you're like, how did you make that throw? And then it was like, how did you not make that throw? You know what I mean? I think there was, oh my gosh, on both sides with him. And that's why he's not as high as I think he should be. I mean, he was almost the Bears' first 4,000-yard passer. So, I mean, I think the dude's talented. I just think the inconsistencies get him a little bit lower. But the talent, top 10 quarterback. And number 8, in a Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is one of those quarterbacks that is good. You know, when he plays well, he is an upper echelon quarterback. You know, he's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to an NFC title game with the Lions. He's shown he can produce. But I think the one thing that it comes down to for me with Jared Goff is that if he doesn't have a clean pocket, he's not really that effective. I think that's what it is for me. It's just, he's not mobile. He can't really move. He's good. But like, when you take away an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we saw that on Thanksgiving this year, you know, he struggled a little bit. He struggled. And I think quarterbacks without number one receivers should be able to elevate their team. Now, granted, I also think Jared Goff is a little bit low on this list because we saw the offensive coordinator switch with Ben Johnson and then John Morton. Now, John Morton, there are questionable things about his play calling. He got fired this year. We'll see how Drew Petzing does, the new OC. But I'm just saying, I think a lot of the success that Jared Goff had last year in the Lions with Ben Johnson, that was, I mean, his numbers were still very similar, but I think we didn't see the dominance that we were once used to. And I do think, I don't want to call anyone a system QB, but I do think Jared Goff is a system QB. I think he needs to have the right pieces around him to win, and he's got to have protection. Because if he doesn't have it, it's kind of game over. His game is very easy to stop. And the reason he's up in this top 10 and above Caleb Williams and above Drake May is because of the production. I mean, second in passing yards, second in passing touchdowns, 68% completion percentage. But his QBR, a little low, 57.3, 18th in the league. I think that is kind of why I have Jared Goff at 8. I think that's an appropriate place for him. And the Lions missed the playoffs. Now, that's not his fault because the Lions were banged up. They need to get healthy. Honestly, that's what it comes down to with them. And then number 7, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was not healthy last year. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. He also had a back contusion he suffered against the Patriots week 16. So there were a lot of things going on with Lamar that were out of his control. But when he's on the field, boy, is he a difference maker. I mean, in 13 games, he threw for 2,549 yards, 21 touchdowns, 18th in the league, 7 interceptions, 63.6 completion percentage, 62.7 QBR, ninth in the league. He was 6-6 as a starter in 2025. But the thing that was crazy to me and kind of alarming, and you could easily switch Lamar and Jared Goff just because of this stat alone. I think this is a very crazy stat. He almost, in 13 games, he almost took a career high 36 sacks, which is second to 37 in 2023. And he also had a career low in passing yards, which obviously we know the injury that's fine. As a starter, that stat. But the Ravens could have made the playoffs this year. If Lamar gets in the postseason, we'll see what kind of magic he could have done. But he would have been injured, so I don't know if his impact would have been the same. But I think that's kind of been the issue with Lamar. When healthy, we saw his MVP campaign. Well, he should have been MVP. I don't know how he didn't get it over Josh Allen in 2024. I can't lie to you. I think it was like 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But he is a good player. And I think, for me, Lamar Jackson is above Jared Goff because Lamar's weapons aren't as good. I know he has Derrick Henry. But when it comes to throwing the football, he does not have as good of weapons as Jared Goff. And previous years, he's had more success. He's had a lot of success. And he hasn't made it to a Super Bowl in the last 5 years, but neither is Jared Goff. They've both made conference titles games. They've both been contending. But I think Lamar, it's just his running ability, his ability to extend plays. When the pocket collapses, he can escape, make things happen. He has a great arm. He's been getting more accurate. I think that's why Lamar is at 7 for me. And then number 6, this may come as a shock to a lot of you guys, but Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes at 6. Now, we know Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people think he's the greatest quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, which he's in that top 3 conversation, for sure. But the torn ACL for me really makes me hesitant to put him top 5 going into next year. And his numbers the last couple years have not been the greatest. And even last year, he played 14 games, but his touchdown interception ratio was not great. 22 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not really the biggest fan of that, but he's still throwing for 3,500 yards. He's still completing the ball at a high rate, 62%, 68.5 QBR. But I also think despite only playing 14 games, Mahomes had a career low in completion percentage and a career low in touchdowns as a starter, and he was 7-7. In Mahomes, you could look at the whole season, and he plays let's say he plays all of last year. I still don't think the Chiefs are going to make the postseason. I still don't think they make the postseason, and that's fine. But I really don't think they make the postseason still. And I think the one thing that could help him next year is having Eric Bieniemy back as the offensive coordinator who he won 2 Super Bowls with. So that's why I'm kind of putting him at 6. I'm a little skeptical about his ACL injury, but when he's healthy, we don't even need to explain what he can do on the football field. He's that good. And then number 5. Now, I wasn't really sure where to put Dak Prescott, but I put him top 5 for one reason. That Cowboys defense did not help him. If you're scoring 29 points, 28 points a game, and you still can't win, that's not your fault. It's not your fault. And this is a Cowboys fan that really has been a harsh critic of Dak Prescott in the past. But this past season, nothing to do with Dak Prescott. Do I think he could have had a little bit better games of not turning over the football? Yes, because, the Cowboys were 0-3 in 2025 when Dak threw 2 interceptions in a game. So I think the turnovers for me, I don't want to see double-digit interceptions. I'd rather see 6 interceptions, 7 interceptions. But I think for me, Dak Prescott had his best season. And if the Cowboys don't tie with the Packers, they win that game, beat the Vikings, beat the Cardinals, the Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs. And Dak Prescott, with those weapons, with George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Ferguson, Turpin, Flournoy, and then you got Javonte Williams in the backfield, who we just extended to a 3-year, $24 million deal. That's a great offense. But it doesn't matter how great your offense is. It doesn't matter how many yards you throw if you cannot get help from the defense. If you're having to literally go out there and score almost every single drive, the pressure becomes a lot because you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't score. We're going to lose. And that's kind of what I thought. Dak Prescott, the pressure he was under last year. And he performed well. He literally had George Pickens. He gave George Pickens a career season. Career season. And if CeeDee Lamb was a little bit more healthy, I think the Cowboys could have figured it out. But I think for me, just because he's not higher, the playoff success is just has not been there for Dak Prescott. Great regular season quarterback. But the postseason success has not been there. And you guys are probably wondering, why do you have Dak Prescott above Patrick Mahomes? Well, I think Patrick Mahomes, with this defense, if he produced, he would have had the same kind of result. And Dak Prescott, his accuracy was insane this year. 67% completion percentage, 70.2 QBR, 4,552 yards, third in the NFL, 30 touchdowns, fourth. I think he was a little bit more efficient as a passer compared to Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. And going into this year, I would rather have Dak Prescott because I think Dak Prescott throwing the football can give me a chance to win. Now, granted, he did have a career high in attempts with 600 passing attempts. That is a lot. That is a lot, man. I'm not a big fan of him throwing the ball that much. But, I think for the cards he had dealt to him and the offense he has, he took advantage. Patrick Mahomes had George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. I'd probably say Patrick Mahomes is above Dak Prescott. But since he don't, I think Dak Prescott, he's got better weapons and he's really an elite quarterback. He's just on the Cowboys and they don't have a good defense. But we'll see how Christian Parker can do. 34 years of age at the new defensive coordinator position. We got Brian Schottenheimer in year 2. We'll have Clayton Adams back as well as our offensive coordinator. So I'm excited for what Dallas is going to cook up this offseason because we can likely restructure contracts for Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Smith. They can convert them into salary bonuses to immediately free up cap space. And then we can extend veterans like Malik Hooker to save some, or even releasing them, extending or releasing. But, while they're over the cap, the Cowboys, they can maneuver some contracts and with the potential to clear up over to $147 million, according to Cowboys Wire. That could be a big deal. Now, Brandon Aubrey wants $10 million a year. God dang it. I think he kind of deserves it, but we might need to get a new kicker. We might need to get a cheaper kicker. But that's all right. And then let's move into number 4. So, Joe Burrow. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow, again, missed like 2 months of the season with grade 3 turf toe. Not his fault. We know how good Joe Burrow's been. In the 8 games he played, 17 touchdowns, 66% completion percentage, 63 QBR, 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's a pretty good stat line for only 8 games. Only 8? That's great. And he comes back, and you know how good he is. He's mobile. He's accurate with the football. He can stand in there and take shots. We know how good Joe Burrow is. But again, the same thing when it comes to Dak. The Bengals defense, where are they at? He doesn't have one. He doesn't have one. And when he came back, he did not have a game below 225 yards passing. That's unprecedented for having like almost 3 months off, and he's still coming out there balling. Just saying, bro. Joe Burrow deserves some respect, in my opinion, going into next season. Number 3, Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold, talent-wise, maybe not the most talented quarterback, but this postseason he had, amazing. Balled out against the Rams when he needed to. Threw for, he outdueled him. He outdueled Matthew Stafford. Threw for over 350 yards. Turnover-free postseason. He did have the second highest amount of interceptions in his career, but also he had second highest amount of touchdowns. Turnover-free postseason. But he's doing this with a new team. He's went 2 years with a new team, making the playoffs, winning 14-plus games with 2 different teams. That has to get acknowledged. He's accurate. He can move a little bit. He can throw it. And he was playing all postseason doing this with an oblique injury. Imagine when he gets that oblique taken care of. I think he's going to have a better year in Seattle year 2 than he did this year. He's going to be more efficient. I think he's going to have to throw for more yards because I think Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, that chemistry he had with them this year, I think it's just going to get better and better and better. Of course, they're going to keep building this playbook. Sam Darnold is that guy. He's great. Great story. Great quarterback. You can make an argument he's a little bit of a system QB, but he manages the game. And I don't think being a game manager is a bad thing. If you can be elite at managing the game, you're an elite quarterback. And he won his Super Bowl. So I think that has to get some kind of credit. Now, a lot of people are probably going to go, oh, why would you have Josh Allen at number 2 above Sam Darnold? Josh Allen, he's the greatest quarterback of all time to not win a Super Bowl. He has the most postseason wins without making a Super Bowl. He's more talented than Sam Darnold. He can throw the ball. He can run. He's accurate. He has a cannon. But the dude just can't. The turnovers for me were a big issue. And this year, he had the lowest amount of touchdowns and yards since his second season in 2019. But what I like going into next season is he has a new head coach. His former offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, being the head coach of Buffalo this year. I like that a lot. Would not be surprised sitting here right now in February that the Bills are playing in the Super Bowl this month, this time in 2027, with Joe Brady as their head coach. Wouldn't be surprised at all. That defense needs some work. But if they can give, just think about this for a second. The only reason I have Sam Darnold below him, Sam Darnold has way better weapons than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's done the Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, guys like that. Joshua Palmer. He has no one to throw the ball to. And he is still putting this Bills team in the Super Bowl conversations without a true number 1 receiver. That's impressive. And I think that deserves a top 2 spot. I don't care if he hasn't won a Super Bowl or not. I don't care if he lost in the divisional round. I don't care if he turns it over. In that Broncos game, if he doesn't turn it over, they win by double digits. They lost that game by 3. That was a close game. And he turned over the ball. He shot himself in the foot. But they were right there. So, talent-wise, he has to be there. With what he has and what he's doing with it, he can carry a football team. That's why he is number 2. And then number 1, I'm giving it to Matthew Stafford. He won MVP this year, adding another big-time accolade to his resume. Now I think he's a certified Hall of Famer. But I mean, this year, first in passing yards, first in touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 65% completion percentage, 71.2 QBR, fourth in the league. Threw for a career high in touchdowns and tied a career high for QBR. Now, granted, they're going to lose Mike McFleur. He went to the Cardinals for OC, but I think Sean McVay and him are going to be okay. And Stafford, what he's doing at this age, 37 years of age, at this stage in his career is amazing. A lot of people this year, including me, were like, I don't know if Stafford's going to be healthy enough this year to be playing that good. And he came out here at one of the best, if not the best season of his career in the back end. He's pulling a Tom Brady. He's rewinding father time and saying, nope, go over there. I'm rewinding the clock. Just the way he manipulates defenses, the no-look passes, the looking off safeties. And he's got Puka and Devontae Adams. And I don't want to hear, if you take Matthew Stafford out, the Rams are still good. No. Do you not understand how good Matthew Stafford is? His arm talent is the best in the league right now. He's so freaking good. So good. He started out the year 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with his first 8 games or something like that. That is nuts. Nuts. He's got to get more respect. And at this stage in his career, for him doing this, he is the most certified quarterback out there that is older and has been there. He's got to get the number 1 spot going into the year. Because I think the Rams next year can totally make a Super Bowl run. Totally. As long as Stafford can stay healthy, the Rams are going to be right there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about my top 10 quarterbacks list going into 2026. I put a lot of time into this list. Let me know what your guys' list would be. Thoughts on the list, everything like that. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, comment everything about the list and everything like that. But let's move on real quick. We got 2 more segments left, and then we'll close out the pod. So it was an epic Saturday for college basketball. Number 1 Michigan taking on number 3 Duke in Washington, D.C. Weird. You don't really see non-conference games like that in this stage of the season. But then you had also the game before that. Number 2 Houston hosting number 4 Arizona. Now this slate, this was the first time since December 1992 that 4 top 4 teams played on the same day. It was number 1 Michigan and number 2 Houston, marking the first time the top 2 in the AP poll lost on the same day. But, I mean, Duke jumped to number 1 in the latest poll. Arizona, they went to number 2. Michigan slid to 3. Duke wins an absolute bloodbath, in my opinion. And I will get into the depth of these 2 games in a second, but just as the overall matchups of both of these. 13, according to Tankathon.com, when it comes to the 2026 NBA mock draft, they have 13 projected picks were playing in both of these games. Oh my God. I mean, the first round projections, there were 8. Cameron Boozer out of Duke. Kingston Flemings out of Houston. Yaxel Lindenberg out of Michigan. Brandon Burries out of Arizona. Ko Pete out of Arizona. Patrick Ngamba out of Duke. Chris Sinak Jr. out of Houston. Adam Mara out of Michigan. Those are the first round guys. Second round guys, Morez Johnson Jr., Michigan. Isaiah Evans, Duke. JoJo Tugler, Houston. Marquez Kravis, Arizona. Jaden Bradley, Arizona. I mean, just this draft class for the 2026 draft is so good. I mean, I haven't seen this good of a draft class since the 2003 draft class with LeBron James. I haven't seen this kind of depth in a long time. In a long time. I mean, Darren Peterson, we know all the question marks with him, the load management, things like that. Is he managing an injury? Is he just a locker room issue? We don't really know. Okay, we don't really know. Then you've got AJ DeBonsa at a BYU. Cameron Boozer at a Duke. Those are the top three. Then you got Kingston Flemings at 4. I mean, there are a lot of good players in this draft. And that's why I'm excited about this March Madness. This bracket is going to be so good. So good. You've got mid-major teams like Miami, Ohio, St. Louis. But then you've got the top teams. Like, I mean, the Big 12 is the modern-day ACC what it was back in the day. I mean, you've got Kansas, Iowa State, BYU, Arizona, Texas Tech. Too bad JT Toppin got hurt. I mean, there are so many good teams. Houston. I mean, there's so many good teams in the Big 12. I've never seen a conference so good. But in both of these matchups, I mean, we'll start with Michigan and Duke because that was, Michigan getting the new number 1. Arizona lost 2 games to Kansas and Texas Tech, give up the number 1 spot. Michigan comes in, Dusty May used to coach FAU, led them to a Final Four a couple years back. Now he's coaching Michigan and putting them back on the map. But I mean, this Duke team, man, they're so damn physical. And at the end of the game, it was 27 seconds left, about that. Michigan needed to stop. 66-63 ball game. Duke's winning. Duke misses a shot, and they get an offensive rebound. That sealed the game. Sealed it. Michigan just could not touch this rebounding. I mean, Duke was getting offensive rebounds all game long. I mean, Cameron Boozer finished with 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, there was just so many factors for Duke winning this game. But I mean, the one guy I really credit is head coach Jon Scheyer. You couldn't have found a better replacement for Coach K. Fastest coach to 100 wins in ACC history. He's perfect. And this was him after the game, just about this non-conference game, preparing them for March.
I think it's different in the fact that, look, I'm sure these guys have seen Michigan play at times, but you don't know them like you do conference opponents. And so I think it just, the ability to simulate a tournament type of game, I think that's the biggest thing. And, we want to not diminish. I think you have to approach it like you can't lose in order to really learn the lessons. Whether you win or lose isn't the point. I think it's the preparation. And our guys did a really good job of just having respect for Michigan, knowing what they do well, but still not adjusting to somebody else and us wanting to insert our will with how we can play. I think that's something we learned tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, Duke now is 7-0 on neutral site courts as Jon Scheyer leads them. That's his record with Duke when he comes to that. He's got 2 ACC tournament titles, an Elite Eight, Final Four already. He's just looking for that national title. Is this the Duke team to do it? I think they can. There's just so many teams that can do it this year. And there's 2 more teams. Arizona coming to Houston. You've got Houston with Calvin Sampson. You've got Arizona with Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd, the fastest coach in Arizona history to 125 wins. Sampson, he's been to 20-plus NCAA tournaments. He has 800 wins as a head coach. Dude's he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Arizona, these 2 teams are so stacked. But this game came down to how the start of the game was. And Arizona got ahead by double digits early, and it really just seemed like Houston was playing catch-up all game long. And they just could not match the physicality of this Arizona team. And there was one play that really bothered me in this game. So Krivas, who's projected to be a second-round pick, he's a 7-foot center for Arizona, and Sharp, Emmanuel Sharp, driving to the basket. Krivas has his hands up, both of them. Sharp runs into him chest first. Krivas blocks it. Sharp falls to the floor hard. A foul is called on Krivas, and Sharp goes to the line. So first of all, I don't know how you play defense in basketball now, because it wasn't just this play that I saw on Saturday. When I was covering Abilene Christian University's game, there was the same exact thing where a guy was guarding him, put his hands up, the offensive player put his shoulder down, rammed into his chest. It was a call on the defensive player. How does that make sense? You're giving these offensive guys too much power, but also you're not really following the rules, because if the offensive player initiates the contact, by rule, it's an offensive foul. But it's somehow never called on any level of basketball. The defender is always sitting there, and they turn to the ref and they're like, what do I do? What else can I do? There's nothing you can do. If you're guarding a guy and he just happen to runs into you and puts his body into you, then what in the world are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do. And it kept Houston in this game longer than they should have. They were playing the free throw line game at the end, but Arizona ended up closing it out. They snapped that 2-game losing streak because, man, like Tommy Lloyd talked about, like how fast, because they lost to Kansas at Kansas and they lost to Texas Tech at home. And Tommy Lloyd talked about after the game kind of how quickly you have to get on top of these losing streaks, because it can just get back real quick, especially in a conference like the Big 12.
Winning things. Get back to winning things and the things that drive winning. Don't be result oriented. Lock into a process. And so that was it. We really wanted to get back into just kind of our habits and what drives winning. And we've kind of had to change how we play a little bit the last couple of games. Not just because you're playing Houston, but we're a little banged up. We have a couple really good players that aren't playing right now. So these guys that are playing have done a great job making adjustments and just finding a way to win. And you're right, because you do lose that tough game at Kansas. You lose a tough game at home against Texas Tech, and then your reward is you have BYU and Houston the next week. It can get out of control really quick in this conference, and so for us to kind of steady the ship, says a lot about the guys within the program.
Yeah, absolutely. He's totally right on that. And I do think just one more thing college basketball-wise before we go into our play in the week and kind of wrap up the show. But one thing I really wanted to say was I just think Arizona should have been ranked number 1. Going into this one, Arizona was number 4. Duke was number 3 going into Saturday. Arizona, they went at Houston. Duke beat Michigan at a neutral site. So I don't really think Duke's win, as good as it is, has the same impact as Arizona beating Houston on the road. So I think Arizona, they were the number 1 team prior. They just had a couple hiccups. I mean, they were undefeated. They were one of the only 2 undefeated teams left for a little bit. Now it's Miami, Ohio. But, I do think Arizona should have been ranked a little bit higher. I think they should have been number 1 instead of number 2. Personally, for me. And also, Miami, Ohio won. They're 28-0 now. They just beat Eastern Michigan by 10. That's so impressive. I mean, just kind of looking at it, I was a little bit surprised that Houston dropped out of the top 4. They put Iowa State at 4. That was a little bit surprising to me, in my opinion. And then I was also a little bit surprised if you're going to put Duke number 1 and Michigan lost to Duke by 5. Really, it was a 3-1 possession game. I mean, I would have put Michigan at 2, Duke 1, Arizona 3 if you're going to use that logic, and then Houston 4. But my opinion, I think it should have been Arizona 1, Duke 2, Michigan 3, and then Houston 4. I think that's what it should have been, just because Houston lost at home. Michigan didn't lose at home, so I think that's a little bit different. But yeah, I think that just kind of wrapping that up, that's kind of my opinion. I'm really excited for this bracket. We're going to be making a March Madness bracket challenge soon, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We'll have the link in it probably in the next couple weeks. And then let's get into this week's play of the week. So, man, we got a good one. Sorry, crowd got a little too loud there. Hey, calm down. I know it's boxing. You're going to get... This is a good play of the week, man. So, Ryan Garcia... He was facing Mario Barrios for the WBC world title. And this welterweight division, this was finally Ryan Garcia's big break. He wins the WBC title, his first world title as a professional boxer, gets his 25th win, wins every single round, dominates, that comes in with the right hand. The left hook was unbelievable. His cardio was nuts. Dude didn't look tired once in this entire fight. Made Barrios look like just a punching bag out there, honestly. Like there was nothing that he was doing good. But to start the first round, Ryan Garcia, 23 seconds in, knocks down Barrios with an overhand right. And this is exactly how it sounded in Las Vegas in T-Mobile Arena.
To start things off. And that's what Ryan Garcia's going to need, that right hand. Down it goes! Just like that! What a shocker. We knew that Ryan Garcia had an outstanding left hook. He just couldn't.
So one thing to know about this fight, Ryan Garcia actually said his right hand was hurt. His dad actually mentioned that in this fight. But, I mean, this was basically, if he didn't win, the career's over. But if he wins, he's got all the fights on the table now. I mean, he could fight Shakur Stevenson. He could fight Devin Haney. He could fight Conor Benn. I mean, there are a lot of fights on the table for Ryan Garcia. Now, personally, I want to see him drop down and wait a little bit, maybe like 144, 143, fight Shakur Stevenson, see if Stevenson will come up and wait and fight Ryan Garcia, because clearly that's the fight Ryan wants, and I want to see that fight happen, because we saw Shakur Stevenson dominate Teofimo Lopez, basically won every round there. We saw Ryan Garcia win every round against Mario Barrios. So I think that matchup makes perfect sense. They're both coming off very insane performances. And Ryan Garcia is not dodging any smoke. He wants to fight the best guys in the world. And I don't blame him from that. And I want to see him fight these kind of guys. And Shakur Stevenson's the fight I want, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment your thoughts on everything in this pod, and let's keep it going, man. Let's keep it going. Trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, guys, but I appreciate you guys listening to another episode of The Take with your host, Jackson Burleson, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my